Statlander. Now what the hell? Fever. Julia comes in, breaks it up. 1, 2, 3.
TBS Champion.
What up, y'all? This your boy Ace here, and welcome to Afternoons Delight. Let's talk about this, man. And so, I did a big. I want to promote this first because I think if you're watching this video, make sure you watch this next video. I'm going to make sure I have the link to this video at the end of the video. You also obviously go to my channel and get this video as well. It's basically the video where Toni Storm, I'll recap the Toni Storm beating Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's title. Make sure y'all go back to that because I'm not going to want to make this video that long like I made that one. I'll talk about a lot of stuff in that video about the growth of the AEW Women's division and how it's finally starting to find its identity after kind of struggling these first 4 or 5 years, right? Since 2019, trying to figure out. There's been some good moments for the women's division. Obviously, you had Britt Baker in there. Hikaru Shida's big run during the pandemic. You had little spurts in there, right? You had little spurts of some good things, but nothing. The problem was the consistency. Then you also had Jay Cargill. But I was talking about in that video how I think everything started to change the moment they made Toni Storm heel. Because I talked about this last year and how I think she could be the catalyst of everything if they work on Toni Storm first. And this is why I remember talking about this at Full Gear when she lost the title, which I thought was the right decision because Jamie Hayter had a lot of momentum. And Toni Storm's championship run was pretty dry, that first one. It was supposed to be an interim run, but they actually counted it as a real run. But I was talking about how I think when Toni Storm, when she comes back, needs to turn heel. And that's where all of this began, when she turned heel. The other big thing was Julia Hart joining the House of Black. All of these things, these two things, I felt like really started to say AEW was like the beginnings of really finding momentum in this women's division. Kind of reminds you of the Knockouts division in TNA when that started to hit its stride. When Gail Kim came into TNA and that whole thing took off, the beautiful people and all of that stuff. You started to see this like momentum with the women's division. Right? You started to see this momentum. And we can attribute it to NXT when Mandy Rose and Toxic Attraction was formed under the HBK leadership, right? And you can see how everything started to blossom from there and everything else took off with it. Well, I think those two things, with Julia Hart joining the House of Black and Toni Storm going heel and her and Saraya forming an Outcast with Ruby Soho, I think that's where everything started. Because to me, they finally had something interesting for the women to do. It felt like for the longest, the women were just coming out there, having matches and no storylines for people to really care about. There's random matches. Women didn't even really have time in the ring. It was like a mess in AEW. It was like, what the hell is this women's division? It was the worst women's division, honestly, right? But you could see the perks as this year was going. You see Julia Hart, she finally, for the first time, she got on television in her matches. And people got a chance to see how she was becoming a fast learner down at AEW Dark and Elevation. And how her gimmick was starting to become something. Like, I called her back then, I said, man, this has got a chance to be like a female Undertaker, man, if they do this right. Because the only thing was, she just needed to get better in the ring, right? But Julia Hart is one of the fastest learners I've ever seen on the female side of pro wrestling. She literally, like in a year, just went to another level. I was like, in Wrestle Dream was where I really noticed it. Like, I said, she turned the corner right there. And I saw her at Wrestle Dream. I was like, damn. I remember seeing it before then. Like, they had her on Dynamite and Rampage, too. I think she had a match on Collision as well. I just was like, damn, man, she's become a fast learner. And so, the match she had with Kris Statlander at Wrestle Dream is one of the best women's matches I've ever seen in AEW, on the women's side of AEW history. And a lot of people were trying to figure out, was that a lot more contributed to Kris Statlander, who's really good in the ring, or is that Julia Hart? And I was saying it's both. Julia Hart is actually doing her part to make that a really good match, because I remember the fans wanted her to win. She had the momentum from the fans wanted her to win. So it's why I was like, man, oh shit. If they do it right, they got something with Julia Hart. They got something with Julia Hart if they do it right. So, Skye Blue. Skye Blue has been someone that everyone's looked at as like, man, she could be one of the greatest female wrestlers of all time. The only thing that's holding her back is these early opportunities she's got. But I was never really worried with Skye Blue, because I was like, Skye Blue's very young. I think she started with AEW when she was either 21 or 22. And she's 24 now. And I was always saying with Skye Blue, the charisma factor is the one thing she got to get developed. And I said one way that AEW could help her with this is turning her heel and giving her a new character gimmick. Right? Because I think being a baby face and, just being someone that smiles at the crowd and all that stuff, I don't know if it's going to get her anywhere. I think when she goes back to being a face in the future, then it's going to be a little bit more of a payoff. But the fans like her anyways, right? She's a beautiful girl, fat ass, all that shit. I mean, Skye Blue has the look, right? She got the look. And the only thing, like I said, that needed to be developed was the charisma part. She's a super shy person in real life, but super shy people aren't limited to be, you got a lot of actors that are shy. And that doesn't keep you from having the ability to form a character that people are going to care about. And I said that one of the things that they need to do with her, they helped out Toni Storm, but with the heel gimmick, the heel turn earlier this year. Let's do this with Skye Blue as well. Now, the one thing that I was worried about, so they were starting to show shades of this a couple of months ago. One thing that I did not like was that they were about to turn Willow Nightingale. And I was like, no, don't touch Willow Nightingale. No, keep her face. She's got one of the best connections with the crowd I've ever seen. Keep her face. That was the only thing that I was worried about. And we finally got our answer last weekend. Brody King confirmed to us that she did not want to join the House of Black. So I was like, oh, all right, that's good. All right. Skye Blue and this whole thing with Julia Hart has been gold. They haven't had to say anything, which was perfect for Skye Blue. And the fans have been interested in the mystique and mystery of those two. Is she going to join House of Black? Because we know if she joins Julia Hart at House of Black, that's going to be one scary tandem. And they're both young. So they're kind of like the pillars of AEW, right? On the men's side, you got MJF, you got Sammy Guevara, Jack Perry, and Darby Allin. The people look at those guys as the first four pillars of the AEW men's side, right? The homegrown talent. Well, you got some homegrown talent in AEW too. I always put these four together. I said Skye Blue, Julia Hart, Anna Jay, and Billy Stark. Right? I've always said those four right there, you could build that woman's division beneath them and under them. And then you got the older girls, the other girls. You got the Britt Bakers, you got the Jamie Hayters, you got the I think they could put Red Velvet in there. You got Ruby Soho, you got Willow Nightingale. I think I'm missing some people that Hikaru Shida. I think I said everybody that need to be said. Toni Storm, Mariah May now. You can put her in there, Mariah May. and you got all this talent, right? So you're starting to form a decent roster on the women's side, right? And the one thing that they just needed to do was mold the young talent. And so I always say, once they're ready as a complete package, I think you put the title on one of them. And I was starting to look at this TBS title match as an opportunity, because I always said I think Kris Statlander had done enough work with the TBS title. I'll take her to the next level and put her in the AEW women's title scene. Maybe she be the one to beat Toni Storm. You know? Because she was just such a great champion after, because when they lost Jade Cargill, a lot of people were worried about that. But Kris Statlander paved the way, just worked hard, stayed healthy, which was the main thing for her, and looked like a great TBS champion, bro. I think her work is some of the most impressive work I've seen somebody have, man. And it's not clumsy, it's not sloppy. She got her, it was her time, and she didn't fumble the ball. That was the thing with Kris Statlander. She didn't fumble the ball when she got that opportunity. And all it is for her, man, is to stay healthy, man. That's like the one thing for her, man. But let's go into how this match went, man. It was a triple threat match. Skye Blue got the last win to qualify when she beat Red Velvet, who was another person that's starting to really look good. Red Velvet, man. I'm telling you, you got to pay some attention to Red Velvet. She's coming along. But let's go into how this match went. So Excalibur pointed out that the red heart over Hart's eye, and said it was mimicking the paint that Kris Statlander typically wears over her eye, right? Hart and Blue worked together early on. This is one of the things that I remember mentioning this in my poll. I'm gonna reveal the poll results like I always do after the match. The match recap. I said one of the things that Kris Statlander, this is why I felt like this was probably a real chance that Kris Statlander was finally going to lose, because I felt like Hart and Skye were going to work together. I did. I felt like they were going to work together, and that was going to be too much for Kris Statlander to overcome at some point. And it was going to go to Hart's advantage, because all she had to do was play it smart, pick her spot, get the pin, and probably pin it Skye Blue, right? We'll see if that's how it worked. Statlander suplexed both challengers on the floor. Back in the ring, Hart and Blue hit simultaneous super kicks on Statlander. With Statlander down, Hart and Blue met in the middle of the ring and shook hands. So I love that. I love that, like, when they do the whole shaking hands thing. And Skye Blue did it. But Julia Hart hit Blue to end the alliance, right? So Blue put Hart down with a kick and covered her for a 2 count. Statlander returned and worked over both opponents. Statlander had Blue pinned, but Hart broke it up with a senton. A short time later, Statlander hoisted up Blue and slammed her face first to the mat. And Kris Statlander was being super physical in this one. A lot of jaw-dropping moves that she had that had the crowd oohing and ahhing. Kris Statlander just, man, if you go to a Kris Statlander match, man, you're going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy it in person, man, because some of the stuff that she pulls off, her strength, is unbelievable. I watched her in person at All Out. It was unbelievable what she was doing Ruby Soho. Statlander went up top for a finisher, but Hart shoved her to the ropes, off the ropes to the floor. Hart went to the ropes and kicked Blue away. Hart hit Blue with a top rope moonsault and had her beat, but Statlander pulled Hart off of Blue from the floor. Hart charged Statlander, who power slammed her on the floor. Blue caught Statlander with a kick to the face. In the ring, Blue went for a running crossbody block, but Statlander caught her. Blue escaped the Saturday Night Fever attempt and rolled Statlander into a pin for a 2 count. Blue came right back with a great-looking Cold Blue for a near fall. Blue went for a finisher again, but Hart returned and broke it up. Hart put Blue in the Heartless slot. Statlander pulled Hart off and gave her a deadlift German suplex. Statlander performed the same move on Blue, then repeated the move on both wrestlers. Statlander hit her Saturday Night Fever on Blue and went for the pin. But Hart knocked a Statlander off of Blue and then stole the pin, man. And that was the smartest thing. I was watching the match with my little nephew, right? And one of the things that I loved about going back with him on it was that I was telling her to pay attention to Julia Hart because the way she played it was so smart. She kind of played that cat and mouse game where she was just going to pick her spot on when to hit Kris Statlander, because she knew in order to win this match she had to beat Kris Statlander first. Then she could concentrate on Skye Blue and get the win. So that was all she wrote for Kris Statlander and Skye Blue. And Julia Hart is your new TBS champion. This one went a little longer than the AEW women's match, about a minute longer. Went about 11 minutes and 20 seconds. And Julia Hart, for the first time since Double or Nothing, we got a new TBS champion, bro. And it's a perfect spot for it. People were really getting into the match towards the end. And it felt like it could go either way. And that was the fun. I knew that would be the fun thing about watching this match, was that you got three girls who all are primed of capable of winning. I just always felt like Skye Blue was the least likely one to win because, you know, this is this whole thing where she's going, you know, why would she win and she may join the House of Black? So it just didn't make any sense to me why she would win. And she's not really a leader just yet, right? She's not a leader. But I think that Julia Hart makes so much sense. And I think she's ready for it. I think she showed me at Wrestle Dream she's ready for that title. And I don't think they have anything to worry about giving it to her, because that was the one thing for me with Julia. Like, once she got everything in the ring good enough to go, I said, you go ahead and give her the title. You go ahead and get her her first title in AEW. And it was great, man. The second half of the match was awesome, man. First half of the match, you know, they were trying to do the whole thing. But the second half of the match, it got the crowd into it. And them girls were going. And I just think that you look at these three. These three girls don't have the hype of they never had the hype of the WWE hype machine, man. And for them to pull off what they pulled off at Full Gear, which is freaking awesome. Freaking awesome, man. I mean, Julia Hart, man, she has become the full package, bro. And I think she's actually going to help. This is why I hope they actually have Skye Blue join the House of Black. Because I think she's going to help out Skye Blue a hell of a lot. Just her being with her. Because there's probably little things that Skye Blue could pick up that she sees that Julia Hart's doing. And she could do it as well. That's why I said turn her heel, man. So she got something to work with. You know what I mean? That was, I love it, man. I love it, man. This was great. It's basically like they rewarded her with the hard work that she put into becoming a better wrestler, man. Awesome stuff. Let's go over the poll. Yeah, get ready to wrap this video up. So we have 658 votes for this on 50 likes. And it was really close at the top between Kris Statlander and Julia Hart. I remember this poll. It was close between these two throughout. I think Julia Hart was actually winning this one at one point. And then Kris Statlander, I guess a lot of people just felt like Kris Statlander wasn't going to lose yet. But man, this was probably one of the closest polls I ever had between, you know, those two. And I knew a lot of people knew Skye Blue wasn't going to win. So she was down in last place at 10%. But, man, that was a really good close poll. And another poll that I want you guys to vote in, I'm going to try to reveal the results in maybe 2 or 3 weeks on this one. And this is what title reign, or maybe, you know, I might dig in and see when both of the title runs end, if I could go back and pull this up. But what title run was you guys looking most forward to? So we got 523 votes so far, 35 likes. We got Toni Storm and Julia Hart. Which title reign are you guys looking most forward to? Right now, Toni Storm is kicking Julia Hart's ass right now at 76% to 24%. Julia Hart fans, make sure y'all get in there and vote. Get this. I want to see Julia Hart get as close to 40% as possible. So make sure y'all vote. Thank y'all for voting these polls, by the way. So to wrap this up, man, because we're going to get into we're gonna get into Skye Blue a little bit, and what her future holds after Full Gear. Next video, and we'll wrap this up. But yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm liking what I'm seeing from this whole thing. I think they did a glorious job with it. I think it was time. I think both wins really show you the improvements that they're making in the women's division, man. And Julia Hart, you got to remember, she's only 22. We're just seeing the cups of her greatness. It's amazing. It's amazing, man. And I got to congratulate Julia Hart, because she is a fast learner, man. She learned this fast. When Julia Hart first came in as a wrestler, when she first had her first AEW dark match, Skye Blue was way ahead of her in the ring. And I don't know, for me, it looked like maybe Julia Hart is better than Skye Blue in the ring. It kind of looked that way when I was watching the match. I was like, wait a minute, Julia Hart looking like she might be a little better than Skye Blue. That's crazy. Let me know y'all thoughts on that, man, if y'all agree or not, man. But go on ahead and get this video a like, share, subscribe, y'all. This AEW Women's Division has come very far, y'all. It's come very far. Thank y'all. And if I say anything, I know it's hard to watch all 3 AEW shows. I have a hard time myself, especially Collision, because it comes on Saturdays. But whenever you get a chance, at least watch AEW once a week. All right. Sometimes I'll put up polls on here to let you know about a match, maybe on Rampage or something like that. But make sure you try to at least watch the women's division. And because Toni Storm and Julia Hart stories are going to be great. They're going to be great. I can already tell this stuff is going to be very entertaining to watch, how it just blossoms, man. But go ahead and give this video a like, share, subscribe. Y'all. Thank y'all for watching. Afternoons to like.